Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Hey Randy, good to see you. I see the Roll Tide on the shirt.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, loving your. You were a great inspiration, encouraging our son Tommy to go there. And I tell you, for those from the north that have a bias, I tell the SEC, Alabama's great, whole SEC and everywhere is just a great experience, which is what Carter had as well, right?
Yeah, I've my our youngest son Carter attended Alabama, a recent college grad, and had an amazing experience there. So yeah, glad it's going good for your son too.
All good. So welcome everybody that's watching either now or on the recorded version. We are very honored to have Bill Swales. He's at VMware. His official title is VP America's Partner and Commercial Organization, which in the traditional sense means he's a channel chief and in charge of the strategy for the commercial organization. This is episode number 76, brought to you by Sales Community. If you want to learn more, sell more, check out Sales Community. And we actually have a kind of May special we have going on until Friday the 13th of all things. So you can go to salescommunity.com/May free and get a free year membership. So otherwise, depending upon which plan you take, $100 a month or $500 a year. So take advantage. And even more importantly, we are sponsored by the Alexander Group. I've been fortunate enough to do some fantastic seminars, and I wish I had Alexander Group as a resource back in the days where we'd lock ourselves in a hotel room and say, okay, how are we going to figure out the comp and the org and the structure and design and creativity and all this stuff. So certainly great resource. I know VMware uses them. You've not actually used them themselves. And the official I guess a sponsorship note or blurb, if I say that. They're actually also the go-to-market and sales compensation sponsor of Sales Community. And they provide, the official tagline is they provide revenue growth consulting services to the world's leading sales organizations. When clients need to grow revenue, they look to Alexander Group for data-driven insights, actionable recommendations, and results. And Chris Riley, who is one of our partners in crime back in the day, who's a very critical on everybody, as most of us know, loves the Alexander Group. So anyway, can't say enough great things. Our title for today is Building Your A Game for Sales and Partnering. So look forward to talking about that. For those watching in or listening, you can go in on the LinkedIn post area and you can make any comments if you want. You can also ask any questions and we'll do our best to get to those. We have Tucker behind the scenes who always does a fantastic job. Nour is off today, so he is not on. So I was trying to do the math and I had to get my old HP 12C out, but figured out that we've known each other, I think, for at least 34 years. You started out for sure as a top rep at EMC in Chicago, and I think never looked back. We worked together again at a Giant Loop, which was interesting, some ups and some downs. And then certainly had a great run at HPE together. It was always awesome to see you in action running the server group. It was a super competitive environment, seeing you on stage. There's lots of business important, strategic knowledge I learned from you. But lots of fun memories are just coming to my head. Bill said, "Hey, why don't you button your jacket when you're on stage in front of thousands of people?" I said, "Okay, go buy new suits." So I went and bought new suits. The next event we had Dave Donatelli comes up and say, "Wow, you look really good. Did you change something?" "Yeah, I bought suits that fit so I can button it."
That's so funny, Randy. I mean, it's so funny to hear you reference 34 years because literally I did the same thing this morning. It's amazing, like all the benefits of LinkedIn, by the way, where you can kind of go back and like, how many years have we been working together? But that experience we had together at HP was amazing. And I just want to say, I'm grateful for you and how coachable you are. You didn't get defensive about the new suit. You were actually like, that's actually great.
I agree. It feels great. I just bought a new tux last week, and I remember they said, "Here," I said, "No, leave a little room just in case, because when you button it, there's nothing like button it." And then I don't know if I'm allowed to say when you're announcing the Gen 9 servers that there was a competitive server platform that we filmed throwing off a roof with you and some of your colleagues. I guess I won't mention that. But certainly been a fantastic leader, huge friend of the channel, consummate professional, and most importantly, a great husband and father. It's been great seeing Bill Jr. and Carter growing up. Bill following your shoes in tech sales, and Carter almost following your shoes, but now doing public relations in New York City. And I'm sure they will all continue to grow and thrive. And always great being with your lovely wife Pam at different events and down here in Naples and everything else. So I'm sure everybody watching is probably sick of us by now. So maybe why don't we get into it here? So maybe talk a bit
just
about,
if you don't mind, Randy, I just want to say like something that you and I see a comment here from Peter Bell about time flies and great friendship. If you really go back that far ago, like we all had a full head of hair.
Yes.
So we have something in common today that has brought us even closer together, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think you have some room to take yours down on the sides, I think.
I could. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe somebody on your team will give you some feedback. So that's an open invitation, team. Tell them. Yeah. Anyway, tell us a bit about your professional journey.
I mean, what a gift. It's so interesting at this stage of my career to spend time with, Bill Jr. and Carter and other friends of ours, who have kids who are, looking, what are they going to do in their industry? And I'm constantly reflecting about how blessed we've been on the choices that we've made and how lucky we got to all decide to go into high tech. I mean, I remember, I don't forget how old.
Okay,
wait.
But... Time out. You got to tell the story about, magically you're the only buddy from your school, the only person from your school that applied to the job at EMC.
Well, I knew. So I knew I wanted to go into either high tech when I was in college. I went to DePaul University, or I wanted to go into pharmaceutical sales because there was a lot of that in Chicago. So I was going to go down one path or another. And back in that day, you'd go to career planning and placement, and you'd find like a piece of paper with the little tear-offs of, here's the job description, EMC Inc. Hot Growth Company. Here's the little tear-off with someone's name, and it was Chris Patton. I'll never forget that. And my first manager and his phone number. And I called him. Like, that's how, that was LinkedIn before LinkedIn was there. But so, I did have a conversation with Chris, the hiring manager. I did learn. I said, hey, I understand you hire a lot of people from Boston College. Now you're going to look at DePaul. Are you going to hire from other schools in the Chicago area? He said, yeah, we're looking at, Northwestern University, Loyola. And I said, okay, well, that's good. So anyway, you want to talk about one thing that's key in sales is eliminating your competition. So I just made sure as I went home after school, took the L by Loyola, stopped, and then at Northwestern, and made sure that there were not any flyers up on the thumb board with those little tear off things. So when I went into interview with Chris, I said, so I'm just kind of curious, like, did you have, a good candidate pool? And he said, you're the only one.
Perfect.
But I got lucky. They hired me. What a gift. So yeah, it's been a blessing in our industry. So that's where it all started. But the journey was a dozen years at EMC, which was amazing. Obviously, that's where we connected. Had a chance to work in kind of that storage area networking segment of C&T, McData, Brocade, all those companies coming together, which was really interesting work. Had an opportunity to lead some very, very big businesses at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise today. Ran the storage business unit, and then I was blessed to have an opportunity to lead the single largest P&L in the world for them, which was the x86 business, which was amazing. And currently, at VMware, which is an amazing place to be, with regards to customers wanting to migrate workloads to the cloud, which is something, by the way, I also did at Oracle. So what a gift to work at such amazing brands. I mean, I'm really blessed and grateful for that.
Right. Well, there's probably some correlation, great brands, great success in you. But
Nice.
what about telling us more about VMware?
Yeah, I mean, VMware is a really exciting place right now. I've been here for about 3.5 years. I was recruited from Oracle and basically did the same thing here that I did at Oracle. And it's all about how are we going to drive a go-to-market with a partner ecosystem to help us drive business outcomes and solve customer problems. And the strategy here is just amazing. If you think about what is happening in our customer environments today, all customers are leveraging multiple clouds, whether it's AWS or Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, Salesforce.com, dot, 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 dot. And so we know that our customers are really committed to that more subscription spend versus perpetual. So there's a balance. Our customers are really trying to figure out which applications, use case, and workloads do they want to run on-prem, or do they want to run in a cloud? And maybe they're running one of the clouds, they want to move it to another cloud, or they want to move it back on-prem. And so we're in a very, very unique position to bring value to our customers with this multi-cloud strategy with an enormous amount of capability there. The second element is, if you think about like the banking industry, I had a really interesting conversation a couple of weeks ago with a CIO at a bank. They don't think of themselves as an infrastructure company. They think of themselves as a software company, who's trying to really figure out new ways to interact with their clients. And so it's all about the applications and how are they developing new applications or modernizing legacy applications. And so we're in a really unique place to help our customers scale there with containers and Kubernetes and all that with regards to modern apps in our Tanzu portfolio. So that's cool. And then the third element is just like what we're all doing. Some of you are at the office, some of you are at home, some of you may be at a coffee shop. The work from anywhere segment is a really, really hot space. And so that's another market that we play in. So multi-cloud, modern apps, and anywhere workspace. Like these are really, really interesting conversations to have with customers about how they're evolving their business models. So VMware is very relevant. We're very, very strategic. And as we go to market, we're about a $12 billion company. About 90% of what we do is build a go-to-market with and in conjunction of our partner ecosystem. So I have a very, very fun, important strategic job that keeps me on my toes, gives me maybe a little too much stress, but it's an amazing opportunity to be here and be part of this.
That's great. It's amazing how to evolve back from the Diane Green days of server virtualization and then really under Pat Gelsinger's watch, just really continued to reinvent and always knew the next thing that was going on. And
awesome.
Now the new leadership is continuing to take that forward, it looks like.
Yeah, it is really, really exciting. So Raghu Ramaran is our Chief Executive Officer. He's been with the company, I think, for 18 years, right? So one of the things I really love about Raghu in the new role as our new leader post Pat is he understands the culture. He used to run all of engineering. Like he is obsessed with really, really good, high quality, valued products for our customers. And then on top of that, we over rotate on NPS and customer experience. So we know if like our products work in a very, very high quality way, if we engage the right way with our customers and prospects, if they have a great experience, they're going to buy more. So we have a very, very loyal customer base that we've been working hard at for many, many years. It's been a great journey.
No, that's great. And I'd say maybe on the culture side, how have you seen it evolve, and/or kind of what's special about the culture?
Culture is really, really important here. And this is unlike any company that I've worked at before. So a number of years ago, via various work groups with the employees, it was asked of the employees to help us define what our culture is. And the teams came up with an acronym called EPIC2, which is amazing. If you ask anyone at VMware, like, describe the culture, everyone's going to talk about EPIC2. And EPIC2 is the acronym for number one, execution. At a minimum, we all know that we need to deliver the results. We need to be maniacally focused on doing what we're each accountable for delivering on. So execution is kind of that first pillar. The second pillar is around people and passion. Like we want every employee, all 35,000 employees, I think it's actually a little more than that now, to wake up every day just super fired up about what you're doing, what your career journey is. So passion and the people is something that we really, really focus on. We encourage our employees to create your own adventure and try to figure out, now that you've done one job for a little while, what's next for you and what could be next. So the P is really important. The I, as you know, is very, very important to me, Randy. It's all about integrity. There's a zero tolerance for any ethical compromise. We all know that, there's no gray area. Everything's black and white. So having a very, very high integrity culture is really important. The fourth piece is around customer and making sure that we're customer obsessed with regards to how we engage with the customers, the customer experience, and making sure that they're very, very happy so they continue to buy. And then the last piece, like you and I have been talking about this for a number of years, it's all about community. Like, what are we doing as an organization to help those less fortunate or less, help those that are in need? The best example I have of that is, my boss, Dan Zugelder, who runs the Americas, we literally took a day off as an organization. We call it an Epic 2-Day. And we spent the entire day with everyone across the US, Latin America, and Canada doing community service, giving back and helping those in need. So when you describe the culture, it's epic too, but this is a place where it's just built within the DNA of everyone. And it makes it a very, very unique place to work and to be and to grow and to develop and to have an amazing career journey.
Awesome. That's great. And that, obviously you live all of that, but especially in the community side, always been very charitable and giving of your time and your talent as well. Yeah. Jesse chimes in, says Bill Swales, incredible leader. Absolutely. And then Dan, pretty sure I should know, we've got him, I think we have him booked coming up sometime. We're booked right now, but anybody can go to Sales Community site under events, and we're booked out now through, I think, end of February every week, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
So if you were, besides everything, all the great stuff you said about the culture, love Epic too. If you're talking to a recruit and you have 30 seconds kind of in an elevator, kind of what else would you say?
I would really over-rotate for a recruit, number one, on the culture, so I would amplify that. But I would also talk about this is a culture that's unique with regards to, as I mentioned, I use the term create your own adventure. Like, we want all of our employees to have multiple experiences here at the company. Why would you need to go from company to company to company when if we can do a really good job as a leadership team advocating for our employees to create your own adventure? So we're looking, we don't want people bouncing around like a 1 year in a row, but we're really making sure that every manager has that high quality conversation with their employees on a quarterly basis in a documented plan to make sure that we're advocating for everyone on their career journey. I don't think there's many companies that do that. I think there's a lot of, grind in our business, a lot of pressure in the business, right? Versus helping everyone think strategically about their career path. And I think that's a unique differentiator for our company.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. I'm in. Yeah. So we have our title for today is Building Your A Game for Sales and Partnering. Tell us more about that.
Well, it's funny, as I prepared, right, I went back to this, and it's, there you go. And by the way, this is the one you autographed for me. I'm just going to read this back to you because I'm grateful for this. You said, Bill, so proud of how well you continue to do and love that you are a great dad and husband. I value our friendship. Love you, Randy. So how about that, Randy?
No, you just got me in trouble with everybody who I didn't write or didn't write as nice to.
Yeah. Well, so I just think it's really important with everyone you work for or you work with to set really, really clear expectations. I've seen it happen so many times in my career where there's just misalignment with regards to expectations. And I think that many times in sales, people think that they're getting exclusively measured on just a number. And it's more than that. So if you think about, Randy, some of the conversations that we've had in the past as we think about, okay, well, we had 150 people deliver over 100% of plan. Do all of them really qualify for club? Well, that's one metric. Are there the other right behaviors? Right. And so, one of the things that I've always done with every team that I've worked with, and it's outlined in the book, there's kind of, these 10 bullets. One is I try to make sure that I set clear expectations up front for everyone. And my expectation list is pretty simple. Number one, be consistent and predictable. There's nothing worse as a manager than being surprised. There's nothing worse than volatility, numbers going up and down. And so consistency and predictability is really, really important. Number two, like my expectation is to be number one in everything you do, but give the credit to others. Like, don't take credit yourself. Like, Like it's the team that actually delivered the results. And so giving credit to others, it can be a force multiplier to inspire someone and recognize them for something that they're doing. The third element is really around developing the talent. And you have to, as a manager, embrace diversity, embrace the plan that I talked about around creating your own adventure, and lead by example. That's really, really important. The fourth one is like, I've been saying this forever, like one of my leadership attributes is all about like surrounding myself by people that I like, know, trust, respect, and can learn from. I'm a likable guy. I want to have a high level of trust. I want to hire people that are smarter than me. I want to be a constant student of our industry and learn. And if you do that, like that's a core element to building like a core team. The fifth one is around being challenged and being challenged every day. I like stress. I like it when the job's hard. I like waking up every day so that my kids can see that I have to work my tail off. It's a way for me, right, to be an example that instills hard work ethic for them. So you're the same way. You're a lot like all of our friends like are the same way. So that's pretty important. The sixth one is around just a zero tolerance for any ethical compromise. Come on, people. Like we're way beyond anything with regards to expense report. Like don't be stupid. Like come on. The one that kind of really resonated with me, I remember that I worked for a CEO at one point that in his signature block, he said, set your goals, write them down, share them with others who can help you achieve them, and review them constantly. And I just really over-rotated on that as a best practice around really thinking about what my goals are, getting alignment with regards to people who can help me achieve them, and then making sure that you're reviewing them constantly because things change. There could be an M&A, there could be a different competitor. Like you constantly have to review. So like that sounds so basic, but it's really important. And then the last three are just a couple other elements that with any team, like setting expectations, like we all need to acknowledge we're going to have an enormous amount of hard work with regards to anything that we're going to be chartered to do. But you have to be able to bring humor into what you do. You have to be able to have fun and decompress. If it's constantly a grind, it's not worth it. So it's really important to figure out how can you take a break with your team? How can you just give them an opportunity to decompress? And if all of that kind of comes together, I've always found the money comes.
Yeah, absolutely. So
number one, whatever you do, develop the talent, be challenged every day, zero tolerance for like it all just kind of adds up. So anyway, what's your reaction to all that, Randy?
No, fantastic. I just have this plethora of stories popping in my head, and one talking about health and wellness. We're at the tail end of one of our kickoffs in Vegas, and all of a sudden I get word you're in the hospital. So of course I go over. You're in the hospital. Kevin Hooper is right next to you, and all of a sudden overnight somehow you guys got your became medical doctors, and you two are trying to convince the doctor that it's okay for you to leave. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. If he says you shouldn't go, you shouldn't go. Like you're gonna fly and everything else, and then somehow you guys, I was trying to get you to stay. Of course you didn't listen, and then you convince the doctor that it's okay for you to go. And then I don't know if I'm allowed to acknowledge how we got back. Is that okay to say?
Don't acknowledge it.
Okay,
it's all right. Whatever.
All right, no problem. Anyway, so
we're private jet worked out great.
Able to get home creativity from a friend. So
let me comment on that, Randy. So, I think it's really important for everyone to have awareness about stress, anxiety. We're living in a pretty crazy world right now with regards to COVID, what's happening in Ukraine. Business models are shifting. Customers are buying less perpetual, more as a service. Like there's a lot going on, and I cannot stress enough the importance of taking care of yourself. So a little story about Randy. So I remember one time at sales kickoff, we had so many people at HPE. You were way, 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 way in the back, and you came running up onto stage because you wanted to be inclusive of making sure everyone knew that they were there, even though they were in the overflow room. But you got up on stage and you were winded, and I was nervous for you. And I think that's a lesson with regards to you or the experience that I had. You have to prioritize your health and wellness. You have to be self-aware of anxiety and stress. And there's no one, you've said this to me too, Randy, there's no one that owns this responsibility other than you. Don't make that mistake. So anyway, I just like, as a little coaching for everyone, exercise, eat good food, drink plenty of water, take your vitamins. We all know, get plenty of sleep. You all know what to do. But make sure you do it.
Yeah. You just summarize. There's a book, Younger Next Year. So you can take a long time and read the however hundreds of pages. You basically just summarized it. So you got the Reader's Digest version there. But I must say, in full defense of me, yes, I was totally winded when I got on stage. So I went and measured it the next day, the whole route, because it was, I don't know, 1,000 people or something like that, all these different rooms. It basically was the equivalent of a quarter-mile track in your suit in Vegas in altitude. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, still.
Hey, Randy, if you don't mind, there's one other element that like goes with like that top 10, and it's more about mindset that I just want to share with everyone if I could. I wake up every day with a mindset of like, to believe you cannot do a thing is a way to make it impossible. Like you have to be able to visualize victory of what you want to do. You have to, be aware that people make mistakes, give them a second chance. You have to find balance. You have to, be able to explain your business on one piece of paper. So that mindset stuff, I think is important for people to reflect on a little bit. There's more comments on that in the book, and I'm more than willing to, anyone wants to reach out to me, talk about it. I'm more than willing to have additional conversations there.
Right. Fantastic. And then around the whole kind of yourself, you think about, every business has kind of a plan and goals and targets. You mentioned about your personal, goals and targets. I actually have mine in the book. So the other leg to the stool is what kind of helps you get there is if you share it, that kind of, if you share it, you kind of have to get there because you don't want to be a schmuck, kind of saying it, not doing it, or at least trying to get there. So, and Tucker later on can post, but if anybody wants a book, it's salescommunity.com/book. And there's a paper version and a ebook version. And from what I hear, most people kind of mark them up like I do. So pretty cool stuff. So I just want to make sure we catch up to some things. Appreciate what Peter said. Certainly lives and breathes everything that we're talking about. Terry Richardson also has a comment. Another great tech sales leader, channel chief. Great to see you, Bill. You continue to inspire me and others to raise our game every day.
You inspire me, Terry.
Okay.
As usual.
Love fest here. So, and also Terry, feel free to ask him a question. And Tucker, we've got a longer question from Larry Irvin. Larry, thanks. Hey, Bill, enjoying your conversation with Randy. I lead go-to-market for a seed stage company and have been waiting to launch our channel motion until we have the messaging and value prop more solidified. I'm concerned we won't get maximum leverage if we launch the channel before we're ready and able to resource it properly. Am I thinking about this right or being too conservative? My 2 cents for a lot of the early stage companies that I talk to is, I'll say bring, for lack of better words, bring them a deal or two. So if there's channels that are strategic based on industry or geo or vertical or kind of whatever it is, a good way to get them involved is, I'll say, giving them a deal. They get some margin, they're able to see how it works. So that can kind of allow them to potentially go. But I'll see what your perspectives are. And you can always disagree with me.
No, yeah. So Larry, I think it's a really great question. And I would caution you to be cautious. That like messaging, value prop, how are you going to solve customer problems? What are the business outcomes? Are really, really important because you have to, if you think about like a partner ecosystem, like I think I have like 6,000 partners across our entire ecosystem, but all those partners, I mean, they can sell 100,000 other products. So how are you going to be able to capture mind share within their organizations that they should focus on these new offerings you're bringing to market versus other stuff. So element number one is like that message, that value prop is really important. The second thing that I would encourage you to take a look at is really segmentation. What is the profile of partner? What are the capabilities that those partners have that can actually help you execute on the strategy, right? So do some work with regards to partner capabilities. And then you got to make sure you just have top to top alignment, with regards to, is this aligned to the strategy of that partner? Some partners just want to be resellers. Some partners want to be, very, very high advisory consulting services. So you got to make sure like you're aligned with the partner. And the last element is if you don't have the right incentives and the incentive structure built out where it becomes interesting for the partner to focus on your offering, not just from a resell, but like services, something beyond just the transact, it can be hard. So I would give you a little cautious. I'd encourage you to be a little cautious. Think through all of that comprehensively.
Yeah, especially a lot of the technical CEOs, you probably see the same thing where they say, oh, we can just, the channel just go do it. Like, well, they're not going to just go do it. You have to, ultimately, they have to kind of go sell to end users. And by the way, they've got a lot of other things that they can sell that are easier. So if you're still trying to figure out product market fit amongst the laundry list that you said, if you can't do it, there's no way the channel can do it. But I see so many revenue plans. Okay, the channel's just going to do this. Well,
oh yeah.
How are you going to support it? How are you going to staff it? How are you going to incent it? How are you going to train? Blah 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 blah. And in some cases, it can almost be even a more expensive channel early on, as opposed to just keeping things direct, baking out everything that you just said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So great answer. All right, Tucker, you want to keep them coming here? Who do we have? Let's see. All right, we have Ted. Ted's with Alexander Group. Bill, love your, and Ted, you're awesome. Also, Ted's part of the club. Bill, love your discussion on the importance of culture. Question: VMware was originally a very direct-led culture. How have you been able to translate the positive culture to partners? Or stated another way, how are you managing channel conflicts between field and partners?
Yeah, so so obviously, as I mentioned, culture is at the core of VMware. So that's really, really important to our strategy. As we're engaging with our partnering community, we're really trying to understand what are the values that they have at their core. And I'm just going to give an example here of one of our partners. One of our partners would be WWT. So Joe Koenig over there, very, very good friend. It was interesting, about 3.5 years ago, Joe and I were having a conversation about culture and leadership. And I was describing the Epic 2 values, and he gave me a really, really great education on what they call customer delight. So they have a similar initiative around customer delight. And so it's interesting, if you go to the WWT website and, go under partners, I was asked to come in and do a little recording talking about the culture and the value of the two companies coming together. I didn't need to prepare. I didn't have any notes. I just got up there and I was able to explain our Epic 2 values and my understanding of customer delight, explain how that together between our two companies brings customer value. And it just has created for us, and by the way, same situation with many other partners. We are really, because of the culture, we're completely open, honest, and transparent with our most strategic partners that we're aligned from a culture perspective. Like there's no holding back. Like, Bill, we have to fix this, or Bill, we need help. Or I could say to one of our partners, we're kind of out of sync here. Like, how are we going to fix this? So it's just created, because of the culture, an opportunity to be transparent and open and honest, address what the issues are, the elephants in the room. And that is what's driving our growth with, our most strategic partners. It's really, really important.
So more specifically, we've all seen the movie, but how do you handle it? How does VMware handle it these days, where there's, I know that WWT has lots, especially in New York, but they've done a fantastic job with some of the largest global accounts. So you can name XYZ Bank, but say a rep is kind of doing something direct that otherwise should or could be with the partner. Kind of how do you police that or manage that?
So we've invested significantly into building out the technical services capabilities of our partner ecosystem. It's a strategy called our MSC strategy. It's Master Services Competencies. So we have asked our partners to, in their VMware practice areas, basically go through a process to prove their capabilities. By proving their capabilities and meeting a whole bunch of criteria, it basically converts into an accreditation that our professional services organization, so our team and customer success team, so our teams that focus on the deployment of our products and that customer experience, we know that these partners all have the chops and the capabilities to deliver an amazing outcome. So that's step one. Step two is we've encouraged our sellers to engage with the partners who have the most proven and validated capabilities. So they should have a high level of confidence, whether they work with our direct internal organization or a partner, it's going to be the same experience. On top of that, we're encouraging our sellers as they consider potentially going to market with a partner or multiple partners to basically execute on a teaming agreement strategy. So it's a document that the partner agrees to, we agree to, that the partner signs, that we sign, that has very prescriptive items identified with regards to here's what we're accountable for, here's what you're accountable for, here's what we're going to go get done. And by doing that, that turns into the precursor to providing a documented registration process where we actually incent our partners a little more because they're driving the value, creating the new opportunity. So if you think of that journey is we've built the partner capabilities, we've advocated for the partners who have the capabilities, we are making sure our sellers, by the way, and our customers understand these capabilities. We have a document that we all sign and agree this is what we're going to do. And so when we do that the right way, the friction goes away because we have a documented plan with our core sellers and our partners. And just to be transparent with everyone, I think we're approximately a $12 billion company. About 90% of what we do is sold with and in conjunction of our partners. So there may be this perception that we're a direct culture. In reality, we are really building a comprehensive go-to-market with our partners. And in today's world, where most of our products, are now being consumed, as a service, our partners are helping us significantly from a customer success perspective, getting those SaaS subscriptions deployed, used, and consumed. So we're building that nice recurring revenue model. So hopefully that's clarity for you. That's a really, really strong process that we have that is, I think, done a pretty good job removing the friction.
Great. Great answer and a great question, Ted. And then Ted, in case I forget to tell you, in our prep, I was updating Bill on a lot of things that you're doing at VMware. He wasn't that familiar, so make sure you follow up to my introduction. Not that you would otherwise, but another kind of snippet from there. I used to get a kick. I'd be with reps, and they'd be chewing my ear off. Oh, we need more SEs. So you want more SEs, pre-sales resource, solution architects. Yes. How many would you like? Well, if I could get one, like how about if you could have 10 or 20? Because that'd be great. You would do that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's called the channel, amongst other things, right? Just like, sometimes, and I think, over the years, a lot of that mentality's either gotten changed or they've gotten, upgraded or fired, moved out of the organization. And then other thought I had is, talking about how everything's all about the apps and software and SaaS and everything else. Dave, I didn't actually see it, but I think Dave Valente from Wikibon and what's it called, Silicon, something else that he does the podcast with is writing about, is hardware dead, right? I mean, genuinely, it's all about the software and the apps, and who cares about the hardware these days? So great commentary, and circling back, I mean, Joe and WWT have built an amazing business, and they're at some of the, again, they're do up and down market, but they've done an amazing job at some of the largest companies in the world. So Jesse asks, Bill, there's an ongoing discussion in the world of sales at the intersection of the performance and brand. I'd love to get your thoughts on SDRs, cold calling or cold texting. So we're talking before. I'm starting a series saying I might be old school, but on LinkedIn. So my first one, full disclosure, was I saw something about, or heard something about people cold calling people's cell phones and cold texting. So, and you're totally fine. I know you're going to have a different spin on it, but my take is I just think that's inappropriate. And I think you're saying, maybe a little bit on the text side. What's your thought?
Well, I mean, just to, it's a deja vu down memory lane, because I'm reflecting right now on when I first started with EMC in Boston and Hopkinton in the call center. And my first territory from a cold calling perspective was New York City. And I literally would, like, a yellow piece of legal pad, thumbtacks on in my cubicle wall. I would mark off how many times I got hung up on every day. Like literally at the end of the day, we would come over and we're like, look, like, this is my day. So I'm someone who, I don't mind making the call. I don't mind 1,000 dials a day. Like I like.
Yeah, but the point is to cell phones.
Yeah, no, yeah, but that's where I was going to go. So on cell phones, I think it's appropriate if there's some sort of soft introduction. Like, hey, I was given your number, but like define where you got that number from. If it's a mutual friend or a colleague, like I think that's okay. But the calling, I think, is a little aggressive on you right into someone's cell phone. I think a soft introduction via text saying, I was given your number by Randy Seidel. Not sure if you have interest in learning more about VMware, but I'd love to talk to you if you're interested. Without hounding him, I think I'm okay with that.
Got it. All right.
So a little differing point of view there.
Always good. Yeah. It's and Jesse's just adding on some things here. So a lot of times you can get people's cell phone numbers that could be LinkedIn or Seamless or Zoom Info.
Oh, that's right.
Let's see. I'm losing track here. So you're so at HBS, Harvard Business School. You've always been one for continuous improvement and learning. And I remember some of the great stories you told me about the authentic leadership development program that you took with Bill George. Maybe you can briefly tell us more about that.
So I'm a fan of you have to constantly invest in yourself. You have to be a student in the industry. You have to be a constant learner. As soon as you stop that, forget it. Okay. So I did a little bit of stretch assignment. It was 1 week continuing education HBS class. I thought it was really interesting, as you mentioned. The class is called Authentic Leadership Development. It is taught by Bill George, who's the retired chairman and CEO of Medtronic. The one thing that I really appreciated about this class was, the HBS case studies with regards to what type of leader are you? And so there was one in particular that I thought was interesting. It was a HBS review on the profile of Bobby Knight. So coach of Indiana, grabbing his kids, screaming at them, throwing the chair on the floor, like just that really, really aggressive behavior. We've all probably worked for someone of that mindset. But it was a compare and contrast then to Mike Krzyzewski. Mike's like, puts his arm around you, come over to my house for dinner. Your parents are in town. Would you like to come over? We'd love to host you at the house. So it was really a really interesting experience to think about what type of leader am I? Am I more Bobby Knight or Mike Krzyzewski? I'm more Mike Krzyzewski, just for the record. But the learnings that come from something like that, the learnings that you have over a week or two, or even something virtually, to constantly invest in yourself, I just think is something that everyone needs to do. In that HBS class, I literally pulled it out of my briefcase here before the call. Like I've taken notes on this little red book. This little red book was the recommendation of my good friend John Clavin, who we worked with at EMC and HBS grad. And I took maniacal notes. And then at the end of the class, I transferred the notes into this book, which I've constantly added onto. And so whenever I'm looking for a moment of inspiration, different experiences that I've had, I'm going back into this book. So all of that came from this class, Randy. I've taken a couple others, leadership for senior development. I have another one on the calendar for September about, interlock with board members and senior execs. But I just encourage everyone to continue to do that and think about your, who you are at your core from a leadership perspective.
Gotcha. That's great. And Rich Straffa, that we both know well, also has a book, and his write-up in the book is actually around keeping, I forgot exactly how he said it, but keeping your own little red book. And he's got notes and things from over the years of everything else. And I keep encouraging him, saying, hey, you got to publish that thing. But
he has many of them. Like that's what, like, Rich is amazing. Like, that's one of the things that we have in common. I've always admired Rich, and he's leading AWS. He's a very, very good, personal friend, but that is definitely best practice.
Fantastic. So what about the concept of value selling, right? We have seen that evolved, over the years. We had, kind of Jeff Goldberg, rest in peace, CMC, that kind of did the first training of us. Now that whole thing has really evolved. And as we know, it's not about the speeds and feeds and all the technical stuff, but, I always say, if you're talking to CFO, what is it you're going to talk about? How have you seen the concept of value selling evolve?
It's really interesting. In today's world, the consumer is so much more highly educated than they were, 10, 5, 15, 20 years ago, because there's so much knowledge that they can gain from what's on the internet, talking to networks like this, or, IDC Gartner, ... So I think it's important to think about the consumer today is really probably very, very understanding of the fundamentals of whatever they're looking at. On value selling, it's all about, the business outcomes, and business outcomes, kind of to your point, is, really about high quality understanding of what is the customer's business trying to accomplish by leveraging whatever you're going to use. And I've had some pretty amazing experiences over my career. I mean, to really study a customer and to learn about their mission, to look at all of the SEC or other filings about how they're incented. And when you get to a point where you have such great understanding of what the customer is trying to accomplish, and you can align then with regards to a business case, you guarantee yourself a deal. But if you're just tactical and transactional, to me, that's kind of that's just a sale. And I've noticed, as I've learned about what customers are accomplishing, I remember, one really, really amazing CIO that I dealt with. It was Len Newsel. You probably remember him, Randy, from the Options Corporation.
Yep, OCC.
I remember Len saying to me one time, he's like, Bill, when you come into my office, you bring a couple people in, like, I listen. Because he knew that that's the mindset of how we were thinking. So to me, that's what you got to accomplish there.
Well, that's great. So we're getting on with time here. Tucker, can you post, looks like Liam, what are other KPIs and metrics do you think channel teams and individual contributor should be measured on beyond just deal registration?
So it's this whole KPIs and OKR conversation is really, really evolving. And it's interesting, like, when I read this question here, Liam, I think, like, how are we going to tactically measure sales productivity? And something that I've noticed in the best companies is that one of the things that they're doing is they're taking a high quality look at the OKRs. What is the company trying to accomplish strategically? And how at the CEO or board level are they going to measure that success? That then typically trickles down to a president. Like, how are we going to get now more into the maniacal details about new OKRs? And then if that cascades down the right way to engineering, to sales, operations, HR, you have a whole new swim lane of much tighter OKRs. So when I see a note like this, I think I would make sure that whatever you're measuring aligns to that said strategy. And it's changing the way we're thinking of things. So for example, I mean, a lot of our customers are buying our products as a subscription now. So we're thinking more about not just the standard stuff that you have here, but with regards to how are these products are they being consumed? Right. And so we're looking for, like, new insights, because if they don't get consumed, customer may not renew. If they do get consumed, we're going to get expansion. So the OKR conversation, there's a lot of really great workshops. There's great stuff out there on the internet. There's great books around that. OKRs have to start at the top, and they have to trickle down across the organization. I think every company should hire someone that just focuses on the consistent OKRs. That's the way that you drive growth in today's world.
Awesome. Great. Thanks. Great question, Liam. And yet another example, I guess, is where we are not just old school, but old of Bill Hogan's son, Liam, doing really well now, I think, at Beyond Identity. So thanks for that, Liam. So a few things I want to try and get through fast here.
Yep.
I know you're big on supporting the diversity side and best practices. Saw you congratulated Sandy Hogan on being promoted. You had separate visits with Kathleen Tandy and with Rima. Rima's awesome. And I know you kind of chair, one of the diversity groups at VMware. So maybe share with us any nuggets around best practices that you found or you've used.
Yeah. So this is a very important topic to me personally. I am an ally, and in my business, or our business here, we've taken a really hard look at building out a D&I plan. Some of the things that are best practices. All of our interview panels must have a diverse candidate pool. All of our candidates interviewing must meet certain requirements there. We are making sure that we're closing the pay equity gap, like that. We're in a really, really good place. That I'm proud of the work that we've done there. I am privileged to be the executive sponsor for our Women Allies in Sales Mentorship Committee. And what we've done from a mentorship perspective for our women and other, like, it's not just women, like anyone can join. I think it's probably like a 80, 20, 70, 30 mix of male, female at the moment. But we're doing some really cool things with regards to mentorship. Like, we're setting up mentorship circles. I did this for the first time a couple months ago, where it's a small group of, 6 people. And it's basically an opportunity to have conversations as a small community in a very, very safe space, but be transparent, open, honest, and learn. So those mentorship circles have been, really, really wonderful. And I'm really proud, by the way, of watching. Sandy is an amazing business partner, an amazing leader. You look at Rima now leading the partner ecosystem at AWS. I've known her forever. Like, what a great milestone for her. Kathleen Tandy is one of my unquestionably most valued business partners from a marketing perspective. I feel uncomfortable in an environment where it's all male. I'm just used to much more diverse thoughts, diverse perspective, diverse learnings, and that's just how I am at my core.
That's great. Any favorite channel partners?
I love all my children equally, Randy. I am grateful for the VMware partner ecosystem. And we have an amazing community of committed partners, top to top, CEO to CEO. And we have a whole bunch of new partners joining our ecosystem. But there's so much value creation and differentiated. It's just it's an amazing community. I'm learning every day.
That's great. Easy way to
how do I answer that?
Step aside my question. Yeah. What about advice that you would give your younger self?
Oh my God. Read this.
There you go.
I'm constant. It's so, like, I wish I knew this. I wish I knew it earlier. That's one thing. Second is to be aware that, you're the one in charge of your journey. Like, you got to create your own adventure. So I think, don't feel like someone's going to do it for you. It's something that you have to own. Invest in your health and well-being. Like take care of yourself, and don't ever lose sight of your moral compass. That would be my advice.
Excellent. Perfect. And if Nour were on, he'd ask for a PG Randy story. So I don't know if there's anything you want to share.
PG Randy story. I'm gonna hold back on that. Well, actually, I got it. I will say, Randy, I'm gonna answer this a little differently. I'm so grateful for your leadership and all that I've learned from you. I've seen you and learned from you in many, many difficult situations as just industries evolve, markets have evolved, dynamics have evolved, personalities have evolved. But you are a consummate professional, my friend, and I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. Likewise, very much. So, all right, it's been fantastic. Of course, I didn't get to most of my questions because we had such good ones from the audience. So thanks for that. So anybody that is watching this, you can definitely get it on social media. Tucker pretty much posts it anywhere. Terry, thanks. He says, good answer to that question, Bill. There you go. Terry approves. So you've been fantastic. Next week is episode number 77. We have Piyush Mehta, who's CEO of Data Dynamics. Certainly will be another fantastic episode. Tucker's putting up a reminder. So we have until Friday the 13th. You can get a free year membership at salescommunity.com/mayfree. Don't forget about the book. You can get that at salescommunity.com/book. And certainly thank you very, very much to Alexander Group for sponsoring today. Fantastic resource for any sales leader. And Bill, just as I expected, you're fantastic. Really appreciate it. And I don't know if I mentioned in the beginning, but you're right in the middle of Dell World. So if you had hair, it would be on fire. So thanks for kind of being in the calm moment. And I'm sure you'd be running around as soon as we hang up. So thanks so much. Fantastic. Really appreciate it. And thanks for your friendship.
See you guys. Thank you. Reach out if I can be of any help. Cheers.